I went out on an amazing trip today. Try to keep that camera low. I don't want you to know about this secret lake we on. But hey, we had a great time. Caught some giant fish and learned some techniques that professional anglers are using nowadays. You know, gone are the times of pulling up, throwing out your anchor out there and, you know, pulling up on the brush pile, which it came, that time is gone. These days, you know, these times nowadays, they're out there chasing active fish, and it's fun. And let me tell you something, it ain't easy. I can tell you, but I was about wore out today. My right arm feels like it's gonna fall off. You're out there chasing fish that other people, and that's how these tournaments are won these days. You know, out there using your Livescope, using your electronics, and act. I mean, we were round and round in circles, and these fish are going and going. But when you make that accurate presentation, it's hard to beat. And I'm talking about some giant fish. So let's have a word with him right now, and we'll get to know something. We're going to ask a few questions, and you're going to learn from a professional guide and a professional angler fishing on the crappie trails right now. Had a great 5th place finish at the Elite Series on Grenada the other day. Hey, he was real close. He should have won the thing. I'm gonna go on and tell him I fished with him today. He should have won that thing. So let's get with him right now. So tell me a little bit about yourself. Plug your guide service. Tell me your name and all that stuff. Let's go with it right now.
Yeah, hey folks. My name is Dan Langston. I own and operate River Bottom Boys Guide Service here in North Texas and Southern Oklahoma. So basically, like the Lake Fork, you know, Texoma, Hugo Lake, a lot of lakes in Northeast Texas, Southern Oklahoma. I guide on. I do a variety of different services, from big fish trips to lake breakdowns to, hey, let's go put, you know, 50 in the box and fill a cooler up. Whatever you want, I can do it. But I've been fishing professionally now, going on 14 years, and I absolutely love it, man. You know, it's just a passion for mine. Being outdoors and chasing, you know, I call them crappie. Some people call them white perch, right? But you know, I absolutely love it. It's a ton of fun. You may have seen us out there in the Chevron boat, Team Chevron. So we fish Crappie Masters Elites and a lot of the other national trails as well. So you know, it's just a true passion, and I love it. And you know, anybody who's wanting to go, you can get in contact with me. Phone number is 405-464-6644, right there on the shirt.
Oh, yeah.
You can also check us out on Facebook at RBB Guide Service.
All right, so let me ask you some questions. So when you say, you know, most guide trips, you know, they're half a day or this, how are you on time limits? Is it a time limit based thing, or do you just kind of go with the flow of what you're trying to do? What do you do there?
You know, that's an excellent question. You know, I remember when I was younger and I first went on a guide trip, and the trip seemed like it just flew by. So for me, I once I became a guide, I said I never want to do that. There's no time limit.
Right.
I'm not going to put a time limit on you having fun. You know, we catch your limit, you know, then we'll catch and release. You know, we'll talk. You know, we'll go over whatever you want to go over. But there's no time limit out on the boat now. You know, if it gets hot outside, you know, if it's in the middle of summer, we're going to come off the water. We're not going to sit out there and sweat all day. But you know, it's really up to the client. You know, it's about their experience out here with me. I want to build memories while we're out here, have fun. You know, put fish in the boat and have a good time.
Right. So that and today, me and you went on it was kind of a combination of both. We went on an instructional type deal where you really showed me how you fish and use electronics, but we also went to do a little big fishing too.
That's right.
We did a little big fish too, caught some giants.
Yeah.
And so what I want you to do is tell me how pro fishing and pro crappie fishing has changed from the times where we used to pull up and you put it over. What do y'all do differently now as opposed to, you know, the way, and it's definitely changed as the weights are going up, but electronic use is different. What are you doing different now?
Sure. So, you know, we use Livescope to really target these fish, and you know, what does that mean? Well, we're not sitting still. We're covering water. You know, gone are the times where you're sitting up there and just, you know, tying up to a single tree and fishing all day. We've got to cover water, you know, whether it's fishing multiple trees, multiple brush piles, or chasing roaming fish. My preferred way to crappie fish now is to think outside the box and go out and chase roaming fish, right? So one of the strategies that I do, you know, especially tournament fishing and to locate bigger fish, is I look for what I consider wolf packs. You know, sometimes that wolf pack is just a single alpha wolf that's out by itself chasing shad, or multiple fish. And so, you know, we put the trolling motor on 10, we dial our live scope out 80 feet, And you know, we're looking for crappie out suspended away from cover, not on the, you know, the typical structure that they're on, you know, sometimes of the year. We're looking for these big lone fish, chasing them down, trying to get a bait in front of them and making a very, very precise presentation. You know, fish identification is key, being able to quickly process what's on the screen. Having phenomenal boat control. There's also something I teach my clients called boat control adaptation. It's not necessarily having to have the boat in a perfect straight line and the fish in a straight line. It's maneuvering that rod with the boat, feeling what the boat is doing. So there's a lot of different techniques and different things, but you know, as a whole, the main thing is covering water.
So today, one of the things that we worked on and took me some time to get used to is learning your instructions. You know, we're so used to just fishing out of the front of the boat, but with the wind and the way the fish were moving, you were constantly going, you know, work to the left, work to the left, work to the left, as you were using that trolling motor and facing that transducer into the fish and trying to almost stay on his nose with the beam. And that is something that I've noticed that was totally different than even other people who've shown me how to chase fish. They're straight line. So we're, like you said, adaptive boat control and learning that. But here's another thing that I think a lot of people want to know. How long do you spend on a fish? When you see a big fish, do you go in there and spend an hour, 2 hours, 5 minutes, 10 minutes? How do you know how long you spend? How do you know when it's time to go to another fish? That's something that people really, really want to know.
Okay. So if I'm in a tournament, I'll spend up to 20 minutes on a fish.
Wow,
now,
20 minutes. That seems like a long time.
That's a long time, but that's in a tournament scenario, right?
Right.
Most of the time on a guide trip, we are not going to give it more than 2 or 3 minutes.
Okay,
That's
2 or
it.
3
You know,
minutes.
now-
But the tournament fish, you're after 7.
Yes.
And you don't, if you catch 7 and that's all you catch, you're good with that. But in a guide trip, you know, most people won't catch 7. They won't catch, at least catch, you know, 15, 20, 25.
Now, if I look at my client and say, this
Right.
is a true giant,
Right.
you want to spend some more time on them, we can do that. That's fine.
Like me and you did. I think we spent probably 10 minutes on the really big one I caught today.
Yep.
That was a really nice fish, over 16 inches.
Sure.
That was
sure.
a giant.
Yeah, it was an absolute giant. But the key to what you asked at the beginning was, I stay on a fish until I get a reaction out of that fish.
By reaction, what do you mean?
So a reaction is one of a few things. One is a fish, the bait is there, right? The fish is nosed up to it and then swam away. Okay, fish is nosed up, ate it. That's obviously a pretty good reaction. That's the way that's the reaction we're looking for.
All right.
The other reaction is a constant avoidance. And here's what a constant avoidance looks like. If this is your bait, this is a fish, you get it, you're right on its nose, and then it dives. And then you get back up here, and then it swims this way. Or it slams on the brakes. It's trying to avoid that presence. But I have to know that that fish has seen that bait. And that's going to determine whether the fish wants to bite or not. But the first thing is it has to lay eyes on that bait or feel the bait through vibration and make a presentation up to that bait. And then, you know, from there, it's either it's going to bite or it's not.
All right, so one of the things that I do when I'm talking to clients about how I fish for bass, which is, I thought it was a lot different, but I learned today it was a lot not as far off as it was, is that sometimes, for example, bass, if I make 1 or 2 casts and he doesn't come after it, I'll mark him, come back to him 30 minutes later. Do you do that with crappie?
100%, yes. Yeah, so if it's a big fish and, you know, I've dropped on it or not made a perfect presentation on it and the fish has not you know, bit it right out of the gate, then what I will do is I will mark that fish 100%. Sometimes I'll come back 30 minutes, an hour, 2 hours. Sometimes I'll wait till the evening to come back. I want that fish to settle down, you know, and not see the same bait over and over and over again and sit there and just drive the fish crazy. Because if you continue to do that, in my experience, the fish won't bite. They're going to sit there. They're over it. They're leaving me alone, kind of thing. And then you're not going to get that fish to bite for the rest of the day. But there's been a lot of times I've left a fish, come back later, and got the bite.
Well, that's me. If I'm out here fishing for a bass, I'll throw a couple casts. If I don't get it, I'll come back 30 minutes. I've known that if I throw 20, 30, never going to get him. But I've thrown 1 or 2, come back an hour later, 1 or 2, come back an hour later, then catch him. And so these fish, and like big bucks, they do different things. You know, that a big buck, he don't go over there with all the does at the feeder. He stands on the outside. And that's the same thing that we found today. Is that, you know, we found a big tree full of crappie, didn't get a single bite, and then went roaming around and caught a bunch, and big ones, and they're not by any other fish. And so he's almost like a big buck. He has learned and went into that different deal, and that was something that I haven't, I've seen a few times, but I've never really got on a really good bite. And I want to tell you, I want to talk about some of the things that, and I was wanting to talk about some of the equipment things. So what are you, some people said use a big heavyweight, this. How do you set your baits up? And if you want to, you can show us on one of these. I know you have one set up. How do you set your rig up? And this is something, and this is also what I know was great. Seeing it on the Livescope was it was so easy to see it. So tell me what rod you use. And we use one rod all day. One rod.
So my preferred rod is a 14-foot Dobbins. It's a JJ series, but it's a solid rod.
That's a good rod. I ain't gonna lie. We put some big fish in the boat. And
phenomenal rod, straight braid. We're out chasing, and the reason today I specifically have, a 3/8 ounce tungsten weight on with a 1/4 ounce tungsten weight, barrel weight above it.
So both of these are tungsten?
Yes, both of them are tungsten.
And you feel the tungsten shows up better on Livescope than, say, lead or other things like that? Do you feel that, or do you not? Or is it more about profile and, with the lead, you're going to have bigger weight, of course.
Sure.
What is it about? What makes you choose tungsten weights and the head over anything else?
Speed and precision. The density of tungsten. I can get away with a smaller head and get to a fish faster. Specifically today, as you know, we're fishing in gale force winds. I mean, it's blowing every bit of 20 gusts into 30, 40.
Yeah, it's getting it out there.
So we need to use a heavy setup to be able to get on these fish and get on them quick, because you have a brief moment whenever you're live scoping roaming fish, especially the fish is running from you.
Right.
To make that intersection, to once the fish is in that perfect zone, boom, I got to get on them now.
Right.
So that's really the why behind the tungsten today. It will vary day to day. As a whole, I'm going to get away with as much weight as I possibly can.
Right. So that's about being able to get quickly to the fish. But one thing I noticed today, and I struggled with this a little bit at the beginning, is you want to make sure you sneak in on the fish. You don't want to bump the fish. You want to keep your bait above it. But one thing that I noticed when you said keep your bait way above the fish until it's time, being very patient. Your difference in way above and mine. My way above was 2 foot. Your way above was 8 feet. You don't want that bait fish to see it all or feel it all. You want to just sneak in there, but it's at the absolute perfect time. So I noticed today on one of the fish you caught, you held it above him, 7-8 foot above him for 3 or 4 minutes, just trying to get the perfect optimal drop. And where I was rushing it in, trying to get in there perfect. And when you did it, boom, it went down to there. Immediately. And why is that? Because you say big fish, you got one shot, right?
Yeah, one shot. You have one shot to make a perfect presentation. So what on that specific fish, that fish was nose down, swim down. One thing I've noticed with crappie, a lot of people have never paid attention to this, is that crappie will swim down, and he starts to swim down to the porpoise. The moment that fish hits the bottom and comes up, that's your moment.
That's it. If you get it in his, that's when he bites.
On that upswing, that is when that bite, boom.
And that may be your only chance with a big fish.
Correct.
And so you it's just like, I'm saying about deer hunting, you get one chance at a big buck.
Yep.
It's that 1 week moment, and when you get that chance, if you don't get it then, a lot of times you scare it or hit him with the bait. We hit a couple, and that was the end of this. They're gone.
Yep. That's it. You get that one shot, And so, using a heavy weight can be tough in the sense that you have to be very precise with it. So you can get down on a fish too fast, right? And like I said, you want to use as much weight as you possibly can get away with. Doesn't mean you can always get away with that. I mean, sometimes you may have to have a slow flow. So it's important to have, a diverse tackle box, right? Diverse, line setups. But always start with the biggest, you can possibly get away with, and then move down from there.
And then there was a couple times today, you saw the fish reaction and you said, we got to tip it. We got to tip it with them. What made you make that choice? What made you say, we got to do the minnow?
The way the fish approached the bait. So once the fish locked in and engaged in the bait, what they'll do is they'll nose up like this. They'll start to swim with it.
Right.
If that fish has not attacked that bait within 2 to 3 seconds, or immediately turns down, that means it's time to tip it. Why? Because the fish looked at it. It was interested in it. It was trying to decide, do I want to bite this or do I not? Something told that fish, I'm not going to bite it. Okay, so now it could be the boat. I mean, it could hear us. You know, there's a lot of different things.
You got on me about the footsteps.
Yeah.
Hey, and in my defense, it's about 14-foot waves out there. Those weren't footsteps. Those were. I was trying to survive and not fall out the boat here today. Okay, and when I tell you it's big, I don't know if you can see. Like, I don't even know if this gonna do it justice out there. It is getting it out there. You can see the grass. I mean, it's getting it. So, my defense. Come on now, give me a little break here.
Yep.
And another man's driving the boat, and we gotta go pretty high. Your trolling motor's on high. How fast are you going chasing fish?
I fish anywhere between 2.3 and 3 miles an hour.
That's pretty high on the trolling motor.
Yeah.
So you're almost on 10 with a boat this size.
Correct.
So you're moving on along. So it's real important. So you need to be pretty precise.
Yep.
Pretty precise.
Yep. You have to be extremely precise. The timing is everything. I like to fish with the wind a lot because it's stealthier.
Okay, so look, I've always heard that's a great point. You want to fish into the wind, because it keeps the boat. But you just told me something that's completely backwards. And why do you fish with the wind?
It's stealth. I mean, listen to your boat when you're going into the wind. You hear that clap.
A lot of slap.
Yep.
The boat slap.
Boat slap. Livescope has proved to us that is a major problem. Okay?
Absolutely.
100%. So turn around, go with the wind. If you have power poles, you can put you some drift paddles on,
right.
Turn them around to slow that boat down as you're making that approach. But it's stealth. You won't hear the boat when you turn around and go with the wind. The other thing you can do is put trolling motors on the back of your boat.
I see you've got these.
Yeah.
You've got this, and you've got the paddles.
Yeah.
So you've got. Now everybody can't do this, so that doesn't absolutely mean that everybody has to do this. But those are just some options that you can. You can use those drift socks. They're $70, $80. Best. So there's a lot of different ways.
Yeah.
And we had a great time today, guys. Check out him. I mean, get in touch with him. He's got several different options. And one thing that I love, and I'm gonna flip the camera. One thing that I love about it is how he's building his trips around you. He's not just taking you on a trip. He's building a trip around you. I mean, he asked me last night. We were talking on the phone. What do you want to do? You want to go catch numbers? You want to catch big ones? You want to catch? You want to? And we built a trip, and then we picked the appropriate lake, and we had a fantastic day. And you're gonna see some of the pictures on here. We caught a couple of really big ones. I mean, one of them was a 3-pounder. I mean, it was 16 and a half inch. We ain't gonna call it 3 yet. But it was a big fish. It was a big one. She got the eggs on it. Mama ain't eat that belly yet, but she was munching. Caught her out in open water, doing what he had taught me how to do. By the end of the day, I had this. I was getting pretty good at it, man. Getting pretty good at it. Yeah. So it takes a lot of time, takes a lot of effort, but we didn't have to have a whole lot of poles. We had a net, one bait, one rod. He was running the boat. I was fishing, and then it got a little bit windy, so I just let him fish. But he didn't want to fish. I'm here having a good time, so we were just doing it. I said, hey man, fish. I was watching him learning, and that was what we've talked about that with guides before. Do guides fish? He was gonna fish, but I wanted him to fish to show me and really show me the boat control, that adaptive boat control. I like that. That adaptive boat control, that's the way to go, and that's the way to learn. I've enjoyed this. I had a great time. Check him out. And what's your website again?
www.riverbottomboysguideservice.com, or you can go to rbbguideservice.com.
There you go. You got it, guys. Thanks for watching. Thanks for subscribing. It's a great. Next time we're gonna get over here when it's not so windy. We're gonna set the GoPro up. We're gonna actually do some filming and catching on this thing. But guys, thanks for watching. Thanks for subscribing. Check him out, my man. Ring the bell.